versus Joji, and the leads are out. Joji is bringing that Terrapagos and the Fluttermane special attack on full force here against the Chien-Pao and the Rillaboom.
A fantastic lead from both players. Rillaboom coming off straight off the bat with that fake out pressure against the Terrapagos, which cannot protect against, because it's choice specs and against the fake out. So Chien-Pao also in a really, really good position. It's got the focus sash, so even though Fluttermane can deal super effective Moonblast onto that Chien-Pao, it is going to be able to hang on. And if Michael maybe goes for just stay really simple and really safe, fake out and, attack with the Chien-Pao, the Chien-Pao is going to be able to survive this turn.
The nice thing about the fake out as well is it will break that Terra Shell on the Terrapagos, leaving it a little bit more vulnerable to a follow-up from the Chien-Pao. Something like the Sacred Sword going down into that normal type restricted Pokemon is going to deal a huge amount of damage. I wonder if Joji's going to feel safe leaving it on the field.
Yeah, this Terrapagos is not going to be in a great place, but Chien-Pao going for that protect, just wanting to scout out what kind of move this Terrapagos is going to lock itself into. It looks like the Fluttermane attempted to go for Icy Wind onto both Pokemon. Of course, Chien-Pao is going to keep itself safe, keep the focus sash intact. Rillaboom, of course, going to drop -1 speed and takes the Terra Starstorm. It is enough to take the knockout. So Joji taking an early lead on this Rillaboom.
I really feel for the Rillaboom here. It wasn't actually running the fake out, but it is running that Grassy Glide, so it still had the utility to go for that priority, try and get some chip, break the Terra Shell on that opposing Terrapagos, but it was not to be. Instead, Joji capitalizing on the kind of passive play by Rillaboom and KOing it in return.
Yeah, a fantastic play from Joji. Going for that Icy Wind, trying to break the focus sash on the Chien-Pao and also making sure that it is going to be slower than the Terrapagos. Of course, Chien-Pao is able to go through that turn intact, and now the Zamazenta is going to come in. Plus on stage of defense, not going to help it too much against these two special attackers, but the Zamazenta is going to heavily threaten that Fluttermane with Heavy Slam, and also with the Swords of Ruin ability active on the field, it's going to do a lot of damage with a body press onto the Terrapagos.
Exactly, and the defense boost may not help it with taking damage, but it will help it deal damage in the form of that body press as well. So Terrapagos definitely has to watch out. Terra Shell is still intact though, so Michael has to find a way to be able to remove that from play. Maybe something like a Sucker Punch coming through from the Chien-Pao just to be able to break that and leave then the body press to try and clean up.
Yeah, so both these Pokemon staring off at each other. Zamazenta now going for a wide guard, trying to protect against the potential Icy Wind. And it looks like the Floodmane is going to use the Icy Wind. So a very nice catch from the Zamazenta and allows the Chien-Pao free to get one attack off.
Yes, really nice defensive play from Michael. Here's the Icicle Crash will come through into that Fluttermane, and not enough to get the knockout, but puts it in such a dangerous spot. Terra Starstorm is going to be a single target attack here, going to be taking down the focus sash of that Chien-Pao. So no KOs, but a lot of damage being dealt out on the board in this turn.
Oh, a fantastic turn here. And Michael, that wide guard was so critical and showing exactly why he put wide guard over the iron defense on his Zamazenta. And now this Fluttermane is in range of a Sucker Punch from this Chien-Pao, so there's a lot of mind games because the Fluttermane can go for the Protect. It is not a choice specs variant, so that is something that Michael will have to be aware of. Terrapagos also just at full health, so it's going to need a lot of hits just to be able to knock it out.
I feel like Michael is kind of ignoring the Terrapagos here, which could be detrimental, particularly as there is still terrestrialization utilized on Joji's side, able to maybe get the Terraform Zero going and getting some big damage on the field. Sucker Punch does come through. It's not breaking the Terra Shell, instead getting the knockout on the Fluttermane, stopping it from switching things up, going for a Moonblast and maybe KOing that Chien-Pao in return. Zamazenta goes for the body press. This will be the move that finally does break that Terra Shell, leaving it very exposed, but for a not very effective move. Look at that. Imagine how much it will do now that that Terra Shell has been broken.
Wow, that is so much damage, and I think that Terrapagos might be in range of another body press, even if it goes for that Stellar Form, even with that HP boost. Of course, there is that grassy terrain slowly recovering all the Pokemon on the field, but Zamazenta looking very nice and very healthy and outspeeding that Terrapagos, so it is going to be able to get an attack off if the Terrapagos does decide to stay in. And both of these players, taking their time to think about which Pokemon they will send in next.
Yes, Michelle, we already know, has got that Latios in the back. It comes through in its beautiful shiny form to take to the field in this game one. But Joji also has the option to bring in a Pokemon. It's that Cornerstone Ogerpon. This Pokemon can apply so much pressure with something like the Ivy Cudgel, but also critically the Follow Me to help draw in that redirection and protect the Terrapagos a little bit more from a potential body press.
It's so, the Ogerpon having Sturdy here is really, really beneficial because Zamazenta is not going to be able to knock out this Ogerpon with a body press in one hit. Of course, Latios does carry the Icy Wind, so it can go for a spread move and ignore that Follow Me and then allow the Zamazenta to follow up with a body press. But I don't know, the Zamazenta against this Choice Specs Terrapagos, I think it'll probably survive a Terra Starstorm of this Terrapagos, but it is going to be taking very, very heavy damage, and Michelle already down his final 2 Pokemon.
The Terra Starstorm is also very scary if that comes out, just because of how much damage it can deal through. And it also means that you don't necessarily want to terrestrialize on Joji's side, on Michelle's side, in case Joji terrestrializes there. The Body Slam comes down, Sturdy will of course activate. It means Cornerstone Ogerpon is going to be able to hang around for another turn here as the Terra Starstorm does go down into Protect. Fails to get damage on the board this turn.
A fantastic turn from Michelle there, just protecting against that double up. And now the Latios is quite free to go for the Icy Wind and completely ignore the Follow Me. The Ogerpon is in range of that Icy Wind, and it's going to allow the Zamazenta to be able to get that body press off. I don't know if this, in this range, if it's going to be enough to knock it out, but it's going to be sustaining really, really heavy damage. And without the terrestrialization on either the Latios or the Zamazenta, this Terrapagos is not going to be able to deal super effective damage with the Terra Starstorm.
I wonder what the Pokemon is in the back for Joji, though, because you could always switch it in and then bring Terrapagos in a little bit later on. Instead, defensive plays here on that Cornerstone Ogerpon. Not going to take any damage from the Icy Wind thanks to the Spiky Shield, but cannot be said the same for the Terrapagos that is going to take a drop to its speed. This could be a moment for Zamazenta to capitalize with that body press, and it will get the knockout.
It is down! The Terrapagos has been knocked out by the Zamazenta, and Michael has successfully brought Joji down to his final 2 Pokemon as well. So now it is a 2v2 situation, and both Michael's Pokemon are really, really healthy against the 4th Chi-Yu on Michael's side and a heavily chipped to Ogerpon.
I mean, Chi-Yu does join the field. Beads of Ruin will be activated now, so some of its special attacks will be able to deal more damage. And Chi-Yu also is running that Focus Sash, so again, it has a little bit of longevity on the field. The grassy terrain might have boosted up the Cornerstone Ogerpon a little bit more now. Maybe the Icy Wind could be something that can bypass around it, but I still think it looks precarious for Joji.
It looks like a terrestrialization is going to be coming off onto this Latios, and I think with the Beads of Ruin ability, the Icy Wind might actually benefit from that and pick up the knockout. So let's see whether or not this Latios is going to pick up the knockout with its Icy Wind and allow its teammate Zamazenta to get that body press off. But we're going to see an answering terrestrialization off from Joji's side.
A terrestrialization apiece, and it's going to be on the little fish, turning into a ghost. This is a really nice way to avoid those potential body presses coming through from Zamazenta and put Chi-Yu in a position where it can go for something like a Heat Wave that's now going to be going into a Steel-type Latias.
Yes, and now the Spiky Shield is going to fail the second turn around, but Icy Wind coming off. It looks like something's avoided. Was that the Ogerpon that one? It was! The Ogerpon is not going to be knocked out in this turn. A huge miss, and body press, of course, is going to...
Big damage, huge weight of Zamazenta thrown down against the little fish. There's no way you're able to come through on that. Straight back into the Pokeball you go. What an amazing moment for Cornerstone Ogerpon, though, trying to get out of the way of the Icy Wind, but there was nothing Chi-Yu could do to stop the wrath of Zamazenta.
Oh my goodness, what a fantastic match from Michael there, reading into that Terra Ghost and going for the heavy slam. That fish, of course, is not going to be, it's not a very heavy Pokemon versus Zamazenta, carrying those really, really heavy shields. So, of course, the heavy slam, I think, has maximum base power. So, you know, even though the Icy Wind miss seemed really detrimental, in the end, it didn't really matter.
And I want to really dial it back to kind of how Michelle was able to win through in that game one. Things looked a little bit dicey at some point, you know, losing the Rillaboom really put you in this kind of 3v4 deficit very early on. But this is one of the things that Michelle is so good at looking at, is kind of that end game, going, okay, this turn I lose my Rillaboom, but I still get to keep the pieces in play that I want. The Chi-Pow and the Zamazenta are then able to get through the match a little further, keep that sort of Ruin ability on the field, and the Icicle Crashes, they were certainly stacking up, getting damage on the Fluttermane, for example. The Zamazenta being able to hit through with so much damage with that body press, constantly putting Terrapagos on the back foot.
Yes, Michael just played that game so perfectly. He lost that Rillaboom really early on and was really basically playing with the 3 Pokemon, but he was undeterred by that. And, you know, I think a lot of players, if they lose a Pokemon turn 1 of a battle, may be a bit demoralized and discouraged, but Michael just did not allow that to affect him and played really well to his outs. And I think he just played so perfectly, you know, guessing all the terrestrializations and taking advantage of that.
Yes, and definitely feeling the pressure from the Terrapagos and not seeing it go into that kind of Terraform Zero and apply a lot of pressure with a dual you know, damage attack from its Terra, I think really kind of allowed Michael to not get too flustered by that, you know, not falling into the trap and allowing Joji to capitalize on it. I really liked seeing the Ogerpon Cornerstone come in, but I feel like considering that Michael didn't have the birds in play, there wasn't the Pelipper, there wasn't the Moltres, for example, it maybe was a little bit lackluster.
Yeah, the Latios I also want to call out was such a great team player. Having that Icy Wind, which is a fantastic move choice for Michael, just being able to bypass all those follow me's, and we saw it force the Ogerpon to try and go for that double protect because, you know, it didn't want to take the Icy Wind damage. But here we go, game 2 of the Stockholm finals. Chi-Yu and Ogerpon versus the Rillaboom and the Chien-Pao.
Joji starting game 2 the way game 1 ended, with Chi-Yu and Cornerstone Ogerpon on the field facing down the formidable physical attackers of Chien-Pao and Rillaboom.
Oh, this is such a nail-biting finals. And, you know, the Rillaboom once again has that fake-out pressure. Ogerpon, I think, you know, really good position, able to go for those 100% accurate IV cudgels against both the Chien-Pao and Rillaboom, which is going to take neutral damage. Of course, Rillaboom, I believe this is the choice ban set. And now we see that Ogerpon going for that follow me, just keeping its teammates safe.
Yes, we're going to be able to see the damage coming out from this Grassy Glide, the priority, taking it right down to the Sturdy. If this is a follow-up with the Icicle Crash, it will get the KO, and Cornerstone Ogerpon leaves the field as quickly as it joined.
Oh, and now at least the Chi-Yu, however, free to make an attack off. And are we going to see a Heat Wave come up? Is it going to connect? Oh my goodness, Chien-Pao misses the attacker, boys. Rillaboom's going to get knocked out, but Chien-Pao's going to escape the turn with his Focus Sash intact.
Once again, Rillaboom booms in, booms out. It is no longer on the field, but Chien-Pao got away by the skin of its swords right there. Still has its Focus Sash intact, and this could be very critical for Michael.
Oh, indeed. And the Chien-Pao now will still require another 2 hits to be knocked out, also giving Michael a free switch into the Pokemon on its back. I think Rillaboom going down wasn't too bad for Michael because now he gets a free switch, but we see that Flutter Mane coming in. Flutter Mane, you know, with the access to Icy Wind is going to be really annoying for Michael.
I mean, it's nothing that we haven't seen before, the Rillaboom going out very quickly, but critically the trade-off, getting rid of that Cornerstone Ogerpon and the redirection and those IV Cudgels, like you said, 100% accurate, is really nice for Michael, as well as the opportunity to bring in a Pokemon from the back. Latios doesn't necessarily want to be facing down against a Flutter Mane, but you do have the utility to go for some terrestrialization into that Steel type, which will give you a lot of flexibility. The issue is Chi-Yu's on the field. Those Fire type attacks are also going to hurt.
Yes, Chi-Yu, although might want to think about, you know, trying to land those hits because, of course, it did miss that Heat Wave, which was quite a big turn for Michael. But now that this Floodmate is on the field, we have established that it is the fastest Pokemon on the field, so it can get that Icy Wind off before any other Pokemon and break that Focus Sash. But Floodmate is just going to protect this turn and scout out what Michael is going to do.
Couple of nice defensive plays here. Also a protect on the Chien-Pao. Doesn't want to have its Focus Sash broken at this point in the set. Of course, Chi-Yu also going, I have a Focus Sash. I don't want to lose mine either. Just some very much defensive plays here as the Latios goes for the Icy Wind to no avail, of course, but some good information now knowing that these Pokemon, particularly on Joji's side, are going to be really exposed unless they want to try double protect in the next turn.
Yes, indeed. I think, you know, Fluttermane is still in a really good position. It is still the fastest Pokemon on the field, so it can get that Icy Wind off. Of course, Chien-Pao can go for a Sucker Punch. I don't believe it'll knock out in this range unless there was some sort of critical hit. And we see maybe Michael deliberating whether or not to go for that Terrestrialization to keep that Latios safe. Of course, as you mentioned earlier, has to be careful of the Chi-Yu, and we see a Sucker Punch. Not enough to knock out that Fluttermane.
But the Icy Wind comes through from that fast and speedy Fluttermane. Will break the Focus Sash on the Chien-Pao and get some decent damage on the Latios. Now the speeds are very interesting because it drops on the Latios, and Chi-Yu looking primed to try and get the KO on the opposing Chien-Pao, but instead it goes goes down into the Latios. That is a critical hit to get the knockout. Suddenly, Michael Kelsch is down 2 Pokemon.
Latios is down. That critical hit did not matter at all. Chien-Pao is just Chi-Yu is just so strong. And now Michael down to his final 2 Pokemon. Of course, the Zamazenta is going to come out, which is going to heavily threaten both the Chien-Pao and the Fluttermane. But it will have to take an attack from the Fluttermane first. If the Fluttermane chooses to attack, of course, Chien-Pao also still able to go for that Sucker Punch. So not really caring about those speed drops. And, you know, if it successfully lands that Sucker Punch on the Fluttermane or just stops it from going for the Icy Wind, the Zamazenta might be able to knock out or bring the Chi-Yu down to its Focus Sash.
Chi-Yu's in a difficult spot as well because it doesn't want to take any of these body presses. And sure, it could go for its Ghost Terror type, but then you have to worry about a potential Sucker Punch coming through. The Sucker Punch instead lands on that Fluttermane, gets the KO, and brings Joji down to 2 remaining Pokemon. We will be forced to see the 4th one in the back, but the Zamazenta, following up with the body press, will be able to take the Chi-Yu down to its Focus Sash. However, thanks to this item, it's still in the game. It could go for a Heat Wave and really turn the tides.
Ooh, is Chi-Yu going to land his But Overheat misses on the Zamazenta. That is a huge miss. I think the Zamazenta may have been knocked out by that Overheat. So, you know, now both the Chien-Pao and the Zamazenta relatively healthy. Chi-Yu in range of a Sucker Punch. And also the Terrapagos, Choice Specs, it will be forced to take that Sucker Punch and get that Terra Shell broken.
It may have beady little eyes, but it needs to open them up in this grand final. It cannot find its marks. I guess at this point, the Chi-Yu has to rely on the ability, but we're going to see the forfeit.
Oh my goodness! Well done to Michael for being your Stockholm Regional Champion!
I said it earlier, I'll say it again. This was Michael Kelsch's tournament. The Zamazenta, his best buddy, honestly, man's best friend, by his side, getting him this regional champion title. Congratulations, Michael. Take a bow. You have earned it.